All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to the Shampoo Lounge. I'm your host, Rich Southwest, and the project we are about to listen to is PhunToken, and that is with a PH. To give you background on us, we are a group of investors. We're constantly looking for new and safe projects to invest our money in, not only for ourselves, but for our community. We will ask questions today after you present your project, and based off how you respond to those questions, our community can decide on whether they would like to invest in your project or not. Randall, at this time, I would ask if there are any links that you would like me to post that are relevant to your project. Please send them to me, Rich Southwest, and I will post those in the chat. We have the chat paused, and everyone listening in can take a look at your Telegram and your website or wherever other documents you would like us to listen while you're presenting your project. With that being said, and without any further ado, everybody, PhunToken. Randall, you have the floor, my man.
Hey, I really appreciate it. And one of my teammates is on this call, and so they'll shoot over those links right now. But, first I got to commend y'all. I've been doing the crypto game for longer than I care to admit. And honestly, nothing's ever going to happen with crypto without communities like this and just getting people together. And I think that's what's really cool about what's happening, not just in crypto, but, you see post GameStop, the power of people. And I think that's what the real beauty of decentralizing anything is everybody's voice matters, and people that didn't go to Harvard and don't sit on a $10 billion private equity fund can actually move markets and have a real impact on what's going on. And so I think the next step is just curating really good communities of people that are vetting really good quality. And this is going to be kind of my entry into explaining not only PhunToken but Phunware, the company behind it. I don't want to call them projects anymore. That's doing a disservice to entrepreneurs really building true value. These can't be projects. Projects aren't going to change the world. You need people that are company minded. You need people who are all in, because this stuff is hard, and you can't just be in it for a quick buck. That's going to happen. I think it happens with any market. But what excites me is companies like Phunware, and I'm going to toot my own horn. We're a publicly traded company. We've been around since 2009, and I'll tell you a little bit about Phunware before I tell you a little bit about PhunToken. But we're doing this 24/7. We have about 70 employees. We spend our own money to build our blockchain initiative. We didn't go raise it and then take it to the house. This is, I think, a really interesting turning point in blockchain. As more people know about it, as more communities like Shampoo Lounge, get built and grow, really we need to see a flight to quality. And I think y'all are playing a critical part in that. And that's exciting for me because, I appreciate you letting me tell people about what we're doing, because I know you have quality people listening and quality people tuning in to kind of what y'all are blessing. So, it's a real honor to be a part of this. A little bit about Phunware. Started back in 2009. We were really a digital agency. Back in 2009, less than 3% of internet content was consumed on mobile. So we bet the company on helping large brands establish a mobile presence. So Phunware designed, built, and delivered the first NFL app, National Football League, the first NASCAR app. If you've ever touched Fox Media Group, that network channel, so just like ABC, CBS, NBC, so Fox, all of their mobile application portfolio was designed, built, and maintained by Phunware. So a lot of people have actually touched Phunware software and not even known it. Sochi Olympics, WWE, CW. We really got our start in the passion verticals. It was all about fan engagement. They were the ones that really saw the power of mobile first. We actually helped Apple design some of the protocols for the App Store. We were doing mobile long before mobile was cool. And so as we started to build the company around that model, we realized that there was a lot more you could do with a mobile device than just consume content. So it's not just a big screen where you want to watch Netflix or scroll through social media. What you have in the palm of your hand is a very powerful computer. It's mobile, it's location aware, and it knows a whole lot more about the world than you do. It's always connected to a network, and it's almost always in the palm of a customer's hand. So now brands are thinking about that mobile device as an anchor to a customer. That's how I reach you. What can I do to not only make your life better, but hopefully make a little money along the way? And so now, as you kind of fast forward 12 years in Phunware's existence, what we have is a mobile platform that allows brands to deliver what's called contextual engagement. Easy way to think about this, if you've ever seen that movie Minority Report with Tom Cruise, when he's walking through the mall of the future and they're scanning his retinas and all the advertisements are personalizing to him, then he walks into like the Gap and the hologram pops up and talks about some t-shirts that he bought. That's contextual engagement. It's how do I get the right content to the right person on the right screen or in the right medium at the right time in the right place. We've raised over $100 million as a private company, nearly $50 million since being public, to deliver just that, contextual engagement. And so as we were doing this, we work with Fortune 500 companies. And I'll tell you what led into this concept of blockchain for us. Talking to a large cruise line, years ago now, they said, look, we love your software. We love what you can deliver on mobile. We want you to help us think through how to sell more excursions every time one of our ships leave port. I said, okay, that's easy. What we'll do is we'll introduce infomercial-like capability while people are waiting to board the ship, because we know that's when they're most likely willing to buy. It's like trying to sell alcohol in a Vegas airport. I mean, that sells itself. The minute you land, you're ready to party. So cruise lines think about selling excursions the same way. The day you leave port that's their chance to sell excursions. And so we said, okay, well, we're just going to set up our mobile software to be able to do, concentric geocircles around the port. We'll monitor dwell time based on who you are and what you're doing. And then we're going to send you a push notification to your phone that says, watch this video on all these amazing excursions. So instead of looking at a pamphlet, now you're watching a video of someone riding a horse in the ocean or zip lining in a jungle. So actually, the person who we were talking to about this now sits on our board, CDO and CMO of this massive, cruise line. She says, hey, I come from the gaming industry. I know my numbers. If I look at the numbers and I know that if I get people to watch this video, I can convert a certain percentage, I might be willing to pay them to watch this video. And we said, exactly. That's what you can use blockchain for. You can do microtransactions autonomously at scale that you could never do with pennies and nickels and reals or anything else. It just wouldn't work. And I'll tell you another benefit of this, and we'll get to this in a second, but said, instead of just saying, hey, watch this video, I'm going to say for 1,000 cruise coin, will you watch this video? And oh, by the way, you can use this cruise coin on your voyage to buy a drink or get some money off one of those excursions. So it kind of closes that loop. And so that kind of led us down, now a very long road of developing a back-end system and a back-end platform that effectively became a white-labeled loyalty and rewards program built on blockchain. Yes, being able to process microtransactions was a huge benefit of blockchain. Being able to do it autonomously through our system is a huge benefit. One thing that people don't realize is that any finance department hates loyalty programs because they have to keep them on their books as a liability. So when we talk to Fortune 500 brands and we tell them, look, you can white label our platform, it's PhunToken to the blockchain, but to you, you can skin it whatever you want so it can stay on brand. You can call it Carnival Coin, you can call it Cruise Coin, you can call it Joy Coin, you can call it whatever you want. Our loyalty coins are completely designed by the companies we'll work with. But to the blockchain, it's still PhunToken, so you effectively allow for like an atomic swap within our system just because, again, it's just design elements. With all of this, you're now able to value engagement. And that's kind of the end-all be-all for PhunToken, this white-labeled rewards program that allows large brands to shift the liability of their rewards programs off of their books because now you're taking custody of it. They can skin it to be on brand, and now they can begin to value engagement. Every time you click on something, share something, watch something, that's value. The problem is you're not capturing any of it, and you're rarely even controlling any of it. So we've designed PhunToken to be effectively this model that will hope to give users control over what they share and how they engage with brands, and then allow them to be rewarded for that level of engagement. You can earn it by answering surveys, going to certain points of interest, referring things to friends, watching certain videos, all the normal engagement that a brand would actually seek from you, especially in a world that has a very limited attention span, but you're always trying to reach a customer and you're always trying to build that loyalty. We think brands want to actually reward that. And blockchain is a great use case to be able to do that. And we've been doing this with Fortune 500 companies for over a decade now. And so let me pause there for a second and see if at a high level that makes sense. And then we can go into a whole lot of other stuff around, what does our software actually do? What does the ecosystem actually do? And the fact that we even have a dual token model, but that can be for an entirely different conversation. So with PhunToken being built on Phunware's platform, who has questions about kind of what it actually does?
I'm sure everybody does. We're all ears right now.
So we get tokens essentially for doing whatever we would be doing anyways.
Yeah, and hopefully doing things you might not even be thinking of doing, right? So brands are always, loyalty is a huge issue for brands right now because nobody's paying attention. We don't have that same mentality where I'm always going to buy Nike. Now people are like, what have you done for me lately? What do you got for me? Why should I pay attention? How do you get my attention in a moment? And so a huge part of Phunware's natural competitive advantage, our platform, is marrying data with opportunity. Your data is valuable, but where you are in time and space, that matters. Like for me, there are times where I don't care what you try to sell me, I'm not going to pay attention to you. And then there's times when actually it's really meaningful to me. And there's also times where location matters. If I'm walking through a Vegas casino, you have a unique opportunity to engage me because now I'm paying attention and I might want deals. I might want, discounts on reservations. I might want, access to skip the line. I might want, a freebie to play some slots. And so our platform is designed to identify you in time and space by who you are, what's important to you, what's around you, and then try to engage you. And so we can engage you in the virtual world and we can engage you in the real world. And all of that will be valued and measured by PhunToken. So think of that like our picks and shovels.
Just a quick question. What's the identifiers for each individual?
Say that again?
What are the identifiers that establish that?
Yeah, so a lot of things. So we take privacy very seriously, but we're always going to be trying to get more information. So one of our parent company, one of our biggest verticals is healthcare. And so anybody that's not familiar with healthcare, there's something called HIPAA, but it's essentially how you handle privacy and personally identifiable information. We also did the presidential election last year in the US. So obviously huge privacy concerns there. And so we're very, very attuned to how to manage audiences at scale without kind of compromising people's privacy. So at a high level, you can do it without storing PII at all. So we can, if you download PhunWallet on iOS or Android today, you'll see it's really MVP right now. So we're just building out the back end, making sure everything works, making sure we have all these protections in place. And so what you'll see today is a survey system. Now, today you might get a survey card that says, are you interested in buying a car this year? Now, in the next sprint or the next release, you might see a commercial for a car. You might see almost like a treasure hunt, go to this Starbucks and, the first 10 people to get there and scan their, receipt are going to all win something or, something like that. But for right now, we're just testing it out with survey cards. What happens when you answer one of those questions or you engage? We segment you into specific audiences based on how you engaged. So this person, without knowing anything about you, I don't need to know your social, I don't need to know your name, I don't need to know anything personally identifiable about you. But I can know that maybe you're interested in outdoor concerts, or maybe you're interested in, Italian food. And now that gives brands insight into who they should be targeting, who might be interesting to them. And so really the goal for every brand is not to piss people off. It's not to just, it's annoying to me. I was in the Army for a while. I still get advertisements from the Navy. I'm like, you're barking up the wrong tree. Like, why do you keep sending me stuff? Like, I'm not joining the Navy. I think I'm too old to join the Navy at this point. But there's just a very kind of garbage in, garbage out mentality to data. The future of data is going to be decentralized. So right now, the way it works is large brands typically go to, Facebook or Google because they're the largest games in town. Now, Facebook and Google, all they do is surveil and exploit everybody. And they know that, and they don't want to share on that. And that's exactly what banks do. The big idea behind Bitcoin is let's disintermediate the banks. We don't need this middleman. Let's have people transact in a trustless way. Data is going to be the exact same way. Let's disintermediate these large data oligarchs like Facebook and Google and let brands transact directly with consumers. It's their data. They'll tell you what they want. They'll tell you what they like. It's called hygiening and sanitizing your data. But if you'll curate your own data, it'll be more valuable to a brand to come to you.
But
and don't believe. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I apologize.
No, please. No, go ahead. I should shut up. You ask the questions.
No, but the thing is, aren't you going through like a central hub?
Not right now. So like that's the way the model works today. So you'll have data management platforms. You have and this is getting technical, but you'll have demand side platforms, supply side platforms. You basically have a clearinghouse, much like a marketplace for data. You don't need that if you can decentralize it. So if you can actually have a model in which someone can use, for example, like a graph database in order to be able to reach a bunch of people at one time directly and be able to compensate them in mass. Right now, if I'm, so Phunware is in this business. We sell data. So over the last 10 years, we've generated over 15 billion Phunware IDs. That's a mobile device that we've identified and know something about. 15 billion. We've been doing this for a very long time. Now, not all of those are going to be active, but at scale, our platform will see 750 million to 1 billion active devices a month. That's very powerful data because you're not only reaching those people, but you can create lookalike audiences based on the people that you know something about. And it's just statistics. In the future, so right now, we just keep all that money. If somebody comes to us and buys our data, they just pay for our data. We don't give you anything. It's your data. We're just selling it because we collected it. That's stupid. Like, that doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me. It's my data. It's literally like someone just pulling up on your land and just drilling for oil and saying, tough shit, it's my oil rig. And you're like, yeah, but it's my land. And you're like, I don't care. I did all the work.
But you agreed when you purchased that deed that they would own the rights to all the minerals, I guarantee it. So that's the question that I have for you regarding data. So we voluntarily give you guys data in exchange for tokens, or?
Yes. So right now that engagement is PhunToken. We don't have to get too much into it, but think about it. We have a dual token model. So you'll get PhunToken for engaging and answering questions. But what you're doing is you're teaching your own data, and you control it. So you own the deed. You control it. So you will get to decide what you share, how long you share it for, who you share it with. That's the long-term goal of this thing. Take this as an example. I send you a survey, and so this is getting, again, I don't know if we want to go into this, but we also have PhunCoin. So PhunCoin is an actual security token. And so that's an entirely different animal.
PhunCoin and PhunToken?
Yeah, so it's a dual token model. PhunToken is a utility token. And so let's say you fill out a survey and I say, hey, Rich, are you interested in buying a car this year? And you're like, yeah, I actually am. I'm going to give you PhunToken for that. And that's just going to be for your engagement. Now, let's say a couple weeks later, Lexus comes to us and says, hey, I want to market to your audience, and I want to find people who are interested in buying a car. They'll buy your data from us and say, all right, I want to send a commercial to Rich because I think he's in the market for buying a car. Your data was sold. You'll get paid in PhunCoin for that. So in our model, and this is very important because a lot of people are out there playing, fast and loose with the SEC, and that's never going to play out long term. there are a lot of rules that people are breaking. And I don't care how many times people pretend like they're doing something they're not, or they talk about the Howey test and try to justify it. They are wrong. And maybe maybe the SEC comes knocking, maybe they don't, but they are in harm's way. So we're doing everything by the book and we're working with the SEC in tandem. So the engagement piece as a utility token flies. Think of that like your picks and shovels. You filled out a survey, you gave us some information that made your data more valuable. That's rewarded in PhunToken. Now, when some brand comes and buys your data, that's like your gold mine. That data represents, just like oil, it's now the most valuable asset on the planet. You get rewarded in PhunCoin for that. So you have multiple ways to engage in our system, multiple ways to be compensated, multiple ways to kind of control, how you engage with brands or what data you share. But a lot of this kind of construct, which sounds complicated, is actually to make sure the SEC doesn't come knocking.
Right. But essentially, isn't that kind of like selling the rights to your oil?
It's more like selling the oil because it's still yours. And
right.
So you
want to
monetize your oil.
Yeah, but it's only yours until you give it away, right? Until you sell it.
I wouldn't think of data like that because it's not like a car. It's not like, it is a moment in time that is relevant to you or relevant to a brand and hopefully relevant to you. So it's selling oil. As long as you're pumping oil, as long as you're pumping data, you have something of value that a brand wants. And I'll give you a little hint on this market. Brands care about data in basically a 90-day rolling window. So after 90 days, they'll view that data as, basically stale. And so you could actually be paid for the same data 3 months later after that same data has been bought. And you can sell your data to as many brands as you want. That's how the industry works right now. It's why data is the most valuable asset on the planet. You don't run out of it, and you don't give it away forever.
I agree. And here's brings me to another subject. So if you're giving tokens away for data, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's to stop people from just selling those tokens?
We want them to.
And what's to stop people from filling out incorrect information because they don't really care about the ads?
So that's one of the things that machine learning comes into play, and there's a lot of different, again, it's the beauty of this is we're not reinventing the wheel. We're just trying to cut out the middleman. So data has always been data, and there's always been some portions of data that are garbage. There's been some portions of data that needs to be verified. There are ways to begin to verify that with machine learning. We do that. We have a Neo4j graph database that has a lot of machine learning baked into it that we're already curating. We've generated over 1 petabyte of data, grows at about 1 terabyte of data a day when operating at scale. And so this is just part of this industry, trying to figure out what is relevant. The goal of this entire, initiative is to deliver. It is, and it's to deliver on what you just said, though. It's very smart. So the holy grail for brands is first-party data where users opt in and users curate their own data, because that's going to be your very best data. Like, users, here's the thing with consumers. They hate to be sold, but they love to buy. Nobody's going to stop buying. Like, I actually do care about some things. Like, every once in a while, advertisement works. And I learned something new, but a lot of times it doesn't. And I mean, I still get, everybody has those moments where, they say something and all of a sudden you're getting advertisements and you think everybody's listening to you, and, maybe they are, but I get a lot of advertisements where, so I shit you not, we were talking about something with Phunware. Again, we're publicly traded on NASDAQ. I was talking a whole lot in a meeting about naked shorting, and a whole different topic, which is a pain in the ass to deal with investors who do naked shorting, which is illegal. And I started getting a bunch of advertisements for naked juices. And for anybody that's not in the US, it's just a juice company. It's a, kind of trying to be a healthy juice alternative or whatever. But that was garbage. I wasn't actually interested in naked juices. I just kept saying naked. And I guess that's what triggered, that attempt to sell to me. Now, if somebody just asked me, hey, are you interested in naked juices? I would say, no, I'm not interested in naked juices. And they wouldn't have wasted their money on me.
Well, at least it came up with naked juices,
Well played. I didn't want to be crass, but those are even worse.
So essentially, your token is you have some surveys that are like market research, and then you get, I don't know, $20 or whatever by filling out a survey. So is this kind of similar, but just receiving tokens in that sense?
Yeah, so you're receiving the tokens for taking those actions, and right now,
Right.
the survey functionality is just a proof of concept. So soon you'll be able to see a bunch of different other opportunities, some delivered by Phunware, so it is kind of pure market research from Phunware, and some delivered by brands directly. So the goal will be when you go into FunWallet and you see that carding system, you'll be able to set categories and filters to say, look, I only want to see from fashion companies or fashion, sports, and entertainment, or I only want to see clothing or whatever. And then you might see different ways to engage. It could be less about surveys. It could be more about watching videos, refer a friend, take a picture, go follow somebody on Instagram. Any sort of engagement that you would naturally normally do. All of that's being monetized by these large technology companies. The problem is you're just not involved in that process whatsoever.
Right.
Do I have the right to download and delete my data from your company?
Absolutely. And it's a great question. And the crazy thing is that people still think they have to ask that. It's actually law that you have to be able to do that. So there's something in Europe called GDPR. There's something in California called CCPA, but this is the future. So, and you can see it, like, anytime you're using apps now, and this is what we want, you want to tell people, here's what I'm trying to do, and here's why I'm trying to do it. I want you to enable your location because I want to do this, this, and this for you. I enabled my location for, a Safe Pilot app to give me a break on my insurance because I'm a good driver. Okay, it was worth it to me. I don't mind you, look, I'm not doing it. I'm not a criminal. I don't mind you tracking my driving habits just to give me a discount. It was worth it to me. Now, there's other things. If Nordstrom contacted me and said, hey, I want you to enable your location, I'd be like, yeah, I'm good. I don't really care about your store. So you want to tell people in a totally transparent way. And this is where I differ. I used to talk a lot, in crypto, and I talk less. But my most excitement with blockchain is not anonymity. I know that's a piece of it, and I know that some people get excited about that, but I don't care about that. We deal with Fortune 500 companies that want nothing to do with anonymity. What they want is absolute radical transparency and auditability. That's what excites me about data. It's like, I can verify it. It's worth something, and I'm only using it if you let me. And so having users in control of their data is a powerful, powerful thing. And someone's going to do it. We think, we're in a good position to do it. But if we go away tomorrow, someone's going to do this. Someone will disintermediate Facebook and Google, just like people are trying to disintermediate banks.
Yeah. Can I ask one question real quick?
Please.
You guys were publicly traded, so I'm sure you know about like quarterly, reports and things like that, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's a pain in my ass.
Yeah. So is your intention at some point to like give the investors a quarterly report on how much you make on all this data and compare it like comparatively to the tokens that they were given?
Oh, 100%. It's not it's not a question. We have to. So, and this is the beauty of, I think, why people need to. We might be the only publicly traded company with a consumer-driven blockchain project. I keep doing it myself. So a blockchain initiative. We might be one of the only. If we aren't the only, we are just one of the only. And so we worked with the SEC even when we went public on how to recognize revenue, how to define, how to account for cryptocurrency. And so that's going to be the future. It's not going to be, look, at the end of the day, the man has been the man for a very long time, and the man is very good at staying the man. And so understanding what you can and cannot do in order to build an ecosystem, I think you need centralized companies to deploy decentralized initiatives. That you need that sense of urgency, you need that organization, you need that leadership, but then as the community grows, as the asset becomes more decentralized, cat's out of the bag, there's no way for that centralized authority to control it anymore. That's what we're endeavoring to do. And so we have to report on it. It's not up to us. It will be in our quarterly reports. It will be in our earnings calls. Everybody that is invested in, PhunToken or PhunCoin or Phunware, you can go to Robinhood right now and trade Phunware. Everyone that is involved in it will be able to see everything that we do. It's got to be transparent. It's got to be auditable, and it's totally accountable.
So
There's
what part of this do you think is just a question? I'm curious about this whole process. I enjoy you. You're super intelligent, and I like it.
I concur.
So
that means a lot. I appreciate that. Thank you.
My question is, what part about centralization of data is like, how do you feel about that?
Quite frankly, I hate it. I mean, that's the intention of what we're doing right now. So right now, data is inherently centralized. It's why you see all these hacks. It's inherently vulnerable, but it's also inherently not as valuable as it could be, because brands are just, it's a shotgun approach. There's like an old quote by a guy named, look him up, John Wanamaker. They call him kind of the father of modern advertising. But he's basically, I'm butchering it now, but the intent of the quote is, I know that half of the money I spend on advertising is wasted. The problem is I don't know which half. That's the quintessential problem with brands trying to reach consumers today. They're throwing money at the problem, and they have no clue if what they're doing is yielding any result. And a lot of times Facebook's telling them pound sand. Facebook doesn't let you audit their data. They just say, look, we're the only game in town. We're a monarchy. We have no desire to help you understand your marketing spend or try to tell you or verify where your money's going. Just trust us. Well, screw that. That's what banks have been telling us forever. Why not just go to the source? Skip that person in the middle, Phunware included, who's curating all that data, and go directly to the consumer. But someone's got to build a platform to enable that.
You understand that banks are less valuable than data is, right?
Oh, 100%. Data is the most valuable asset on the planet. I mean, this is a huge idea. And it's someone, that's why I say someone will do it. There's too much power, there's too much relevancy, and there's too much money involved. We're doing our level best to be a player in it.
How do you intend to decentralize the data? What is your here's the thing, it's going through a hub, right?
It doesn't have to. It doesn't have to. So we're gonna get real technical here for a second. So your data can be housed on your phone. Think of your phone, your data profile as a node. Right. Now, right now, normally, like I might have your data, and I might be selling it. And brands are coming to me and just buying a big bucket of data from Phunware, and that's all well and good. But it might not, it's just like everybody else's data. Is it really good data? Is it quality data? Is it consumer control data? No. We want it to be. The problem is there's no connectivity to that. Like right now, it's an efficiency game. Brands go to these large, like I'll use your terminology, the hubs, because it's easy. I'm going to go to Google. I'm going to go to Facebook.
Well,
I'm going to spend a certain amount of money.
Everybody can understand there is a central point where all this data is actually processed, I would imagine, and compiled.
Correct. And so in the future, the central processing hub will be your phone. That's it. So a brand will be able to go one-to-many directly to your phone and skip the hub. That's decentralization. So in crypto speak, it's a decentralized Oracle network. So we just bought, or we announced that we're acquiring a high-end computing system company. That is to build the infrastructure for a decentralized Oracle network. So the only way you do this at scale, so software exists at the pleasure of hardware. The only reason you have, clouds, anything, is because somebody invested a bunch of hardware in data centers, mostly Amazon. The only reason you have on-demand anything is because Amazon invested a bunch of brick and mortar dollars in warehouses and trucks. And so what you're asking about is how do you create a decentralized Oracle network? And that is having a bunch of mobile devices managing their own data profile, and a bunch of high-end computing systems, hundreds of thousands of them all over the world, serving as decentralized Oracle networks. It's a very complex task, but it is essentially what a graph database does. It's these points of one to many that allow you to access many nodes at once, process that information in real time, and do it without exactly.
So, Mr. Crowder, I've got a question for you.
Yeah, please.
Why should I invest today in PhunToken instead of waiting for it?
I think it depends on your strategy. I think, I wouldn't tell you one is better than the other. For me, I look at everything. I've spent, a decade in venture capital. So I look at everything as, do you want to make money or do you want to build wealth? And we've seen it. The people right now, everybody's obsessed with liquidity. They just want to see it on Uniswap and they want to be able to trade it over and over and over again. And honestly, it's why nobody makes real money. The people who made real money in 2017 invested a whole lot before anything was ever listed. And they build a position. That's how most investors think. That's how generational wealth is created. It's not scalping for 10%, every other day. But that's okay too. Look, we need day trading. We need short selling. We need people to take out leverage. All of it is part of the ecosystem. But for me, I like to find things before people find them, before it scaled. I like to build out my position when no one's paying attention. And I like to get more from my money than just buying it on the public market. I think, public markets are fine. But, the people who made real money in IPOs, they invested before the IPO. And people who made a lot of real money in crypto in 2017 invested before anything ever hit an exchange. Now, that can always be risky. And so some people would rather wait to see what the public market response is and then, jump in, which is totally fine.
How do you feel about the SEC, the banking system, and the IRS?
I think like everything in government, they serve a role. And I don't think people really understand what this world will look like if we didn't have them at all. But God, there's so much room for improvement. So the government always takes good ideas and then fucks it all up because they're just, a lot of times they're run by people who, are not the very best people to be with that much power. So they get a lot wrong. They are still doing the best they can. And unfortunately, they still wield a very, very powerful, call it hammer. And so to the extent that you want to build anything of value today, you still got to navigate that game. Now, I think their power is waning. I think their power is lessening, and they're starting to pay more attention to people. But we're still years away from any sort of neutering of their power. The IRS is going to be the IRS, and they can look. Al Capone could kill people. He got away with murder. He didn't get away with screwing over the IRS. So that's how powerful the IRS is.
In this community,
Randall,
the space of just cryptocurrency in general, there's been a current drive to move towards spaces where there's probably more profitability, right? And that's a good thing, but also more anonymity, so that the federal governments of wherever, I don't know where you live. Where do you live? What state?
Austin. So Austin, Texas.
Austin. Okay. So you have 0 state tax, but you still have federal.
Yeah, they get us on the property tax and the federal tax. But yeah, the no state income tax is great.
Yeah. So just like you said before that you had mentioned, you'd like to get in on things before things, blow up your ICOs and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
We're in a good space right now where there's a situation where multi-billion-dollar corporations are trying to come up with ways to make cryptocurrency, to make it anonymous, so that you can buy, you can trade, and then afterwards, you could find a way to actually keep all your assets.
I think we both. I think what you're saying is, I love it. So honestly, there is, for me, a lot of people, God, we're seeing it right now with take vaccines, for example. It's not about vaccines. It's not about health. is about control. It's about what should a government entity be able to mandate to me as a free citizen, or at least as free as I hope I am. And so people are missing the point. So what you're saying, sign me up, 2 scoops, I love it. You're 100% right. And I think that's the power of this movement that is driven by this technology, that is super freaking cool. Now, is that going to happen overnight? No. But what I think is going to happen is it's going to be a mixed bag. There's some people, and as it should, that should be able to develop, push, and control anonymous networks for certain purposes. And guess what? Some of that's going to be, and I'm totally against this, but it's going to be, you can't, it's like free speech. You can't pick or choose what you want to abide by the Constitution on. Some of an anonymity will be used for drugs and terrorism. It's just a simple fact. But some of it will be used for free citizens who don't want to necessarily tell the government everything about themselves and don't think that they should have to. Now, total reverse of that will be a lot of blockchain projects that are defined by absolute transparency. It could be elections. It could be, in our case, some portions of data. There will be, I think there's enough for everybody. And so we don't need to create this zero-sum game. And I think that is unfortunate for any market where we say, well, if you don't believe that it should be totally unilaterally anonymous, then it's no longer valuable. It's like, no, for certain purposes, it should be. And then for other purposes, I don't want that. And I think that's the beauty of blockchain. We can use it for everything.
I've got another question for you, Mr.
Hit me.
Hey,
call me Randall. Or Hey You. I go by Hey You too.
Okay. Well, hey, Randall, in terms of the features, how do you guys decide what to build into PhunToken?
Honestly, a lot of feedback. So one of the reasons why we put, we've been building, rather than go out and raise a bunch of money, like I said, and do an ICO, we spend our own money on building the platform. And so a lot of that you'll never see. It's a lot of the back end guts of how we process data and how do we, leverage location and how do we verify and how do we, totally nuke, bot attacks and click farms and a million other things that plague the crypto ecosystem, but they're just a part of life. That's what we've been spending a lot of time on. And so, I think for us now, it's really just, if anybody's familiar with kind of software development, it's just agile development. And so, we do 2-week sprints, we have a product roadmap, we have a public company reporting on all of this. And a lot of it is, we have our own opinion on what to build, but we're also paying attention to the brands that we're talking to and also the people. What do you want to see? How do you want to do? We want people to tell us what's broken, what's not. Hey, we found this bug, we found this exploit. I've always been of the mind, I don't have to be right. I just want to get it right. And so the more people tell us what would be valuable to them, great. We have a roadmap. We just actually put out a press release that kind of talks about our roadmap. But feature sets are really, something that, are an evolving target. And we're really trying to look for things that can be truly commercialized and be truly valuable. So a lot of the features that we're talking about right now are all about engagement. It's, take, for example, I have this, one concept that I want to do. I don't know if anybody, I don't have to poll everybody, but if you ever seen Free Guy is this movie with Ryan Reynolds, and, he's basically in a game and he ends up, knocking out or killing, I can't remember, a superhero, and they have these glasses, and the glasses basically create this augmented reality overlay of his real world. So he can just see a street when he's walking around, but when he puts on these glasses, he can see this digital overlay of his real world life. We can do that right now with the mobile phone. And so the mobile phone becomes your window to augmented reality. And so I've been talking to our team, and we're, intent on building this, and it's just part of our roadmap. It's almost like a treasure hunt functionality. So if anybody, I'm dating myself now, but like Pokemon Go, Pokemon Go is a huge thing. You got people running around with their phone searching for Pokemon. I want people to search for PhunToken, engage with a brand. I want to be able to show Starbucks I can put, $100,000 and some really crazy test or really crazy, flash mob type engagement activity around a specific location, tell everybody to go there, and one lucky winner is going to win $10,000. I want to be able to see what I can do to drive customer behavior in the virtual world and in the real world. And I want to use our platform to do it.
Hey, Randall. All right.
Yeah.
Real quick. Yeah, we're past time. I'm gonna allow 5 more minutes to conclude. So if we have any last minute questions, or last minute thoughts, that you want to leave with the community. But yeah, we have 5 minutes left, guys. We're already past time, but yeah, we'll end it up at 30 after.
Perfect. Thank you for that. Sorry about that, because I'll talk about this stuff forever. So I appreciate you keeping us disciplined.
So I'm looking at your executive summary, and it says here that you have 30% treasury, 10% issuer, 20% this and that. So I come from the world of Uniswap. I don't use Binance or Coinbase or anything. I only buy on Uniswap for that anonymity. And so 20% token sale. Is that the pre-listing tokens that you're selling? What are all these treasury, issuer, token sale, ecosystem incentives, and brand partnership? Does that mean that you're only going to add how much liquidity do you expect to actually put back into the token after the sale?
Yeah, it's a great question. So, think about it from, and this kind of goes back to one of the previous questions of like, why buy now? And this is something that if nobody answers it the way I'm about to answer it, quite frankly, they're full of shit. And at any moment, they could be taken out by the SEC. So you talk about building value, look, ask people who tried to build value investing in Ken. You didn't build shit for value because they didn't play the game and they didn't understand what they were getting into. We intimately understand what we're getting into. And so we do believe that the first step in any kind of trading that you'll see around PhunToken will be on a decentralized exchange like Uniswap or SushiSwap or any of the other ones. So what has to happen in order to do that? As a public company, we can't be that issuer. They don't KYC. Anybody who tells you you can do that is flat out wrong. And at any moment, all the value in that ecosystem could be drained because the SEC will absolutely not allow that. And so what I want to do, and one of the reasons why it'd be a good idea to buy now or earn now, is you're effectively going to become our liquidity pool. I want to get as many tokens out as possible to people who buy or earn, so that because I can KYC you right now before you ever see a decentralized exchange.
Hey,
and then
Randall, by the way, I don't mean to interrupt what you're saying, but speaking of buying the token, I was looking at the charts and I can't seem to find out how to buy this. How do I buy this token?
Yeah, great question. So it's just buy.phuntoken.com. You can buy with Bitcoin, Ethereum, you can do a wire transfer, and it's pretty straightforward. You also have a referral link in buy.phuntoken.com. You can earn some more if anybody else buys. You also get up to a 30% bonus right now if you buy through that platform. And so, between that pie chart of what we're going to give out, it's really the community initiatives, which were given to look, influencers, people that we like that are going to champion the brand, people that are working with us to build community, brands that want to test it out. We're not trying to hold on to any of the token. I want to get, even though we kind of bucket it into things, we do have to reserve some for brands because brands will come to us and buy PhunToken in order to distribute to their own audiences. We want to give out PhunToken to influencers and help people that help us build community. We want to then obviously sell some, but ultimately, the majority of that outside of Treasury will be in the market. Now, we function something like a market maker because obviously we're not going to just unload the entire token balance on the market. Nobody does. But a lot of this, I want people to, buy and earn as much as possible before we, create a liquidity pool on a decentralized exchange. And I would expect that happening as early as Q1 of next year. And then, centralized exchanges, would follow after that. That's to be determined. I'd be disingenuous if I had a hard date on when that'll happen. But I expect that to happen, by the second half of 2022.
Tracking. Thank you.
All right. Here's what I would like to do real quick. I would allow you. I want to hear you still speak, and if people still have questions, but for protocol purposes, we're going to end the recording. Here's what I would like to do, though, on the recording and on record. What are the last thoughts you would like to leave with any potential investors that are listening? Any final thoughts about your project? And then we'll conclude the recording. And then if you would like to stick around, we can still speak.
Yeah, we're here to build a truly decentralized data economy. Full stop. We want to put people in control of their data. We want to give you an opportunity to engage with brands on your own terms. And we're a public company doing it. There should be no questions of, is this a scam? Who's the people behind this? We're totally transparent. You can find any of us. And that's why we're going to be successful, because we have a sense of urgency. We have a go-to-market strategy. We have an amazing team commercializing this, and we're not commercializing it out of thin air. We're building on a platform that we've developed over 12 years and north of $150 million. There are not that many people in blockchain doing something like we're doing that actually has a chance of crossing the chasm and being adopted by mainstream. We're leveraging over a decade of experience working with Fortune 500 brands who will raise our credibility and ultimately raise the value of the ecosystem we're building. So really excited to be able to kind of introduce it to the community members of Shampoo Lounge. Really appreciate the time. And we're an open book. Ask us any questions, criticize, help us, find exploits or bugs, help us be better. We want this to be a community-led, decentralized data economy. Thank you.
Mr. Crowder, thank you. It was a pleasure speaking with you and also listening to you present your project to our community. As always, do your own research, and we do not give financial advice. All of their links are posted in the chat. Feel free to check out their communities, invest if you're, feeling like you liked what you heard. He is going to stick around if you guys have any further questions. If not, he'll, feel free to take off as well. But to everybody, thank you for joining us as well. And anybody that participated by asking questions, we thank you. And Mr. Randall, please stick by. I'm going to end the recording now. Thank you, everyone, for attending. And then we can commence some more questions. Thank you.